Greetings to all lecturers and fellow classmates. Today, I will present my graduation performance dossier, Self-Expression in Performing Contemporary Dances. In my graduation performance, I performed Perempuan, a new contemporary dance choreographed by Daila Abdul Samad for my solo dance piece, and a reworked version of Prahara choreographed by Azmi Zainal Abdin for my group dance performance. The first objective of this dossier is to study the background of the choreographers, the concepts, the aesthetics and techniques used in the two selected contemporary dance performances. Secondly, I aim to investigate how I embody self-expression in these two choreographies through my dancing body and the challenges faced during the rehearsal and performance processes. To do analysis for my graduation performance dossier, I utilized the qualitative methods to obtain data through participation in rehearsals, semi-structured interviews, and secondary data collection. For participation in rehearsals, I reviewed and reflected on my experiences of learning the movements, finding my interpretation, and developing my self-expression in my rehearsal journal. I used video recording to review my performances so that I can take note of my application of self-expression throughout learning the choreographies until the final performance. I sourced online journals through JSTOR, Google Scholar, Taylor and Francis Online, and many others to collect information about self-expression. I also referred to previous performance videos for references on how the former dancers interpret their roles, incorporate their technique, and develop their self-expression into the performances, as well as the details of movement qualities. I utilize self-expression as my theory to look at dance as a medium for dancers to express their thoughts and feelings. Self-expression is the expression of one's thought and feeling by communicating through words, choices, or actions. Dance is considered a therapeutic form of self-expression based on Arnold's categorization of the two forms of self-expression. This is because dance becomes a medium for a person to act out their inner feelings. In contemporary dance, freedom and self-expression are emphasized through non-verbal performance. The dancer's body becomes the primary instrument of communicating dance that has messages. A dancer's inner experience is unique based on the emotions and feelings felt during the performance. In a dance performance, there are many possibilities for presenting a choreography since it comes down to how each dancer or the same dancer expresses their feelings through self-expression during that moment of performing. Their inner experience will be influenced by various stimuli from inside and outside themselves. Thus, some dancers will go through a certain routine that will use emotions and feelings needed for their performance, such as listening to the music used in the choreography or imagine themselves performing the intention of the movements in the dance piece. In a group dance performance, each dancer may express their inner feelings differently, despite following the choreographer's intention of the dance piece and having the same movements, since it is based on what they felt and with their inner experience during that moment. It all falls to the dancer's interpretation of self-expression to reveal the intention of the dance and how to best display its potential emotional content, such as in contemporary dances. It is important for a dancer to be knowledgeable of the dancer's background, aesthetic, and choreographic intent because the dancer becomes the expresser of meanings through her bodily movements. A dancer with competency in the dance movements can explore different ways of expressing the movements through imagination, interpretation, and improvisation. A dancer can use imagery to prompt their movement exploration or improvisation as they interpret the choreographer's theme and ideas. According to Nakano and Okada's research, a dancer can use expressive techniques in improvisation as a means of self-expression to help create dynamics in a dance performance. These expressive techniques are intentionally changing the speed, rhythm, image, and texture of movement, develop a story or intention of the movement, and to see oneself from the third person's perspective. As mentioned earlier, Perempuan is a solo contemporary dance choreographed by Daila Abdul Samad. In her choreographies, she is known for using elements of street dance and Malay traditional dances to reflect the duality of strength and vulnerability. She emphasizes the use of emotions to highlight vulnerability. This contemporary dance is about a journey of a woman finding self-love in claiming her freedom and identity. When I contacted Dalila to be my choreographer for my final dance performance, she wanted to create a dance piece relating to my life journey. I first recounted the traumatic situation that I faced during my diploma studies. She based her inspiration for Perempuan not only on my life experience, but also on other women's life experiences of being restricted by society's expectation of how a woman should express herself in public setting. Dalila focused on the feeling of being empowered through the struggles. She believed that a person needs vulnerability, self-forgiveness, and self-acceptance to empower themselves in the pursuit of finding their freedom and identity. In perempuan, the movement aesthetics includes a mix of movement styles. Contemporary dance is the dominant movement style used to express the theme of the choreography. Dalila also mixes contemporary dance style with girl style dance. Based on my learning experience, girl style dance is a branch from street dance that is more feminine, sensual, and fluid compared to the hip hop dance. This style empowers women to feel confident of their femininity and to celebrate their body curves. To enhance the feminine movement quality, Dalila incorporates hand gestures from Malay traditional dances, for example, sulam, lambung angin, tangan pacak, and kepit jari. The dance has movements where the dancers need to perform real emotional responses of different feelings such as innocence, happiness, anxiety, sadness, grief, anger, frustration, grief, acceptance, and freedom. I need to achieve the right blend of sensual and strong yet feminine movements in perempuan as seen through the fluctuation of smooth and staccato dynamics in the movements. In this choreography, the movements are more of an outward expansion such as leg extension, leg kicks, back bends, somersaults, and explosive jumps. The executed image of these movements filled up the dancer's personal space. I use imagery to help me express my emotions into the movements by visualizing pictures or scenarios in my head. The technique that was focused on during the beginning of my rehearsal phase was signature walk. I need to keep my chest open, shoulders rolled back, buttocks sitting out, and the hands stuck firmly on my hips while swaying my hips and shoulders as I walk. During the first 2 months of rehearsals, Dalila and I worked on creating the movements. I have to imitate Dalila's posture and the way she moves in signature walk. When I walk, I use expressive techniques such as experimenting with different speeds to see how it can give off different moods. I give myself an identity and see if I can express the woman's identity and emotions to Dalila. We explored movements to achieve the right blend of strong yet feminine movements. I have to see myself from the viewpoint of a third person so that I can understand how certain changes in the body language affect how the dance looks to the audience. I did improvisation at the resolution of the choreography and focused on the main feeling, which is I wanted to express suffering emotions. I recalled my traumatic memories and used imagery to represent the feelings in those traumatic memories. During previews, I worked on how I want to express the moods and emotions in certain parts of the choreography. From a third person's perspective, I checked on how my body language may make the movement look too sexy. I also listened to the music used in the choreography and imagined myself performing the intention of the movements in the dance piece. For the filming and performance evaluation, I made use of the various external stimuli such as lighting, the flooring, the music, and the costume to influence the woman I want to present on stage in the choreography. I have to routine to look back on all the memories I linked with the choreography and listen to the music to induce my emotions. In perempuan, I have to recall painful memories of the past and relate them to the choreography. I learned how to look at the painful memories from a distance instead of being stuck in these memories. It was also challenging to continuously express my emotions in each rehearsal. I use the emotions I receive around me as a fuel to continuously express myself in each rehearsal and performance. Besides, I feel easily tired during rehearsals. I make sure I took deep breaths and keep myself motivated to finish my performance well. It is difficult to maintain my energy while performing different levels of the movement. I repeated the breakdown of each movement phrase several times so that I could learn how to make use of the rhythm and momentum to help conserve my energy. Another challenge is counting the music. I identified certain pitches and accents of the voice as a target to match certain movement phrases. Azmi selected Prahara as the group dance since my dance partners and I have had experiences in performing Malay traditional dances, silat, and contemporary dance. He based his choreography on the concept of angin since it refers to a person's mood. Angin is translated as wind in English. Azmi believed that everyone has a hidden character or personality that is not usually expressed out. He hopes to bring out the inner feelings of Malay women through his dances by using a Malay self-defense martial arts form called silat. In this group dance, Azmi used a silat style called Silat Gayung Fatani. In Prahara, contemporary dance mixed with elements of silat movements is used to express the theme of the choreography. Another performance aesthetic in Prahara is groundedness, which is an aesthetic link to Silat Gayung Fatani. Prahara is a contemporary dance that requires the dancer to reflect her mood through her angin. I need to project the mood associated with sections of the choreography through imagery. For example, I imagine myself as the unpredictable stormy winds during the climax when there is a quick strike of the hands followed by flowing and circular gestures. The basis of Prahara is the movement techniques of Silat Gayung Fatani, such as Bunga Silat, Tapak Silat, and Tempur Seni Silat. Besides, swift and flowing dynamics are used in the whole choreography to represent the stormy winds. For example, I initiated the cannon part of the hand hacking and stabbing in 3 different directions, followed by torso isolation and rotating anti-clockwise. In Prahara, many movement sequences require the use of strong core muscles in a dancer's body. For instance, there is a duet section with Natasha that requires us to do a double spin on our buttocks, followed by a leg slide to standing up and immediately sit on the floor to slide back, which requires the use of strong core muscles. Mood is used to influence the improvisation parts in the choreography. When I feel bottled up during rehearsals, my angin in the improvisation will feel forced. For the resolution of the choreography, I use the supportive mood from my dance partners and interpreted the winds as harmonious. There is also weight sharing with my dance partner. There is a moment in the choreography which required me to roll over Aina's back, which required us to give an equal amount of pressure exerted by our bodies. In rehearsals, I learned the basic movements vocabulary of Silat Gayung Fatani from Azmi through observation and imitation. I worked on understanding what is required to perform the movements by trying to understand the flow of my choreographer's angin and his inner experience. Then, I find ways to interpret and express my inner feelings based on my understanding of the choreographer's intention behind the movements. I use my imagination to create imagery that associated with the movements. Although Azmi conveyed his inner experience to us dancers, each of us has a different way of feeling and expressing our inner experiences in performing the movements. My dance partners and I discussed how we felt when we performed certain sections of the choreography and worked on balancing our self-expression by taking turns to observe and give feedback. We also had bonding sessions to further understand each other's personalities and thought process. I also did improvisation sessions so that I learned to find a way to incorporate my angin into the movements. I utilized the expressive techniques of Nakano and Okada, such as switching the speed, rhythm, and texture of the movements in my improvisation. I used my feelings and emotions to create dance movements in my improvisation. I made sure I focused on how to interpret and express my inner feelings through my angin. Then, I need to choose the most appropriate expression based on my feelings and the environment as a means of expressing my angin. Before each previews and performance, I discussed and went through the movement details with my dance partners. I also used my imagination to help reflect my mood in expressing my angin. For instance, at the beginning of the choreography, I pictured myself as a strong and fresh breeze. During the climax, I imagined myself as the unpredictable stormy winds. When I felt peaceful and light towards the ending of the choreography, I imagined my angin as a gentle breeze. I also used the ending as a metaphor for overcoming the obstacles my dance partners and I faced in our final year dance performance journey. The challenges I faced in Prahara are synergizing, stamina and health issues, weight sharing technique, and incorporating my self-expression through angin into the choreography. The first challenge I faced was synergizing with the other 2 dancers because we did not properly convey our understanding of energy and timing of the movements. We have different opinions and perceptions of energy usage when performing the movements. We watched our recorded previews and discussed matching our energy as well as paying attention to each other's breath. The second challenge, lacking stamina to perform the group dance after my solo dance performance. Stamina was affected by lack of sleep due to depression. I stopped taking my medication as it was having side effects of weight loss and made sure I had enough rest on the filming day and evaluation day. The third challenge, weight sharing during my partnering section with Aina because we were not consistent in executing the movements. Aina gave me her hand to act as a guidance for me to place my back on her body. The fourth challenge is incorporating my self-expression through angin into the choreography. I learned to relax myself and not to exert so much energy every time I perform Prahara so that I can express myself comfortably. In conclusion, I learned how to stand from perspective of a third person and find ways to symbolically present the mood instead of immersing myself into a particular mood or emotion. I learned not to ignore my feelings and to express them so that those around me can understand my mental and emotional state. This helped me to learn how to communicate better with my dance partners in confirming the movement details rather than just adjusting the movements to myself. I found that both choreographers utilize self-expression in improvising, developing, and creating the final structure of their choreographies. Both choreographies use the dancer's inner experiences and feelings to present inner turmoil and freedom. I realized that a dancer is not required to give all-out energy from the start to the end of a dance piece. I can think of different ways to express the choreographic intent of the dance piece through self-expression. I learned when to be in control and when to let go of the energy when performing. By allowing myself to be vulnerable when performing, I empowered myself and this served as the drive for my self-expression.